Hello. Oh, look. Right, there you go. Prop myself up. Oh, that was a bit relaxed, wasn't it? Welcome to Real Magic Review. My name is Steve Faulkner, as you know. And go and look at cardmagiccourse.com. That'd be good, wouldn't it? That's my online card magic course. There's the advertisement. I'm feeling very relaxed today, which is good. Hey, Gary. Hey, Mr. C. Hey, Chris. How are you? Thanks for coming. I did my usual thing of putting this up about 18 minutes before it went live. Tell me if this is too... I'm going to put... This looks like it's too loud, this volume. So I'm just sorry, I'm still experimenting with things. Comments thing, but we are going to be talking about a little bit more about Ben Earl's Inside Out, because I only put that out about an hour and a half ago, and it's got some comments already, which I think are quite interesting, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. This has been doing this weird audio looping thing. So sometimes when I've been on Zoom, it's been sounding like that. That wasn't it, obviously, clearly. If that happens, tell me, and then we'll have to stop it probably, because nobody wants to hear me looping, except when I'm beatboxing with my looper, and then it's quite good. Right, so I'm going to go for some comments. It's been got a load of stuff I had to catch up on, so a lot of my reviews this week was stuff that had been out for a while, but that's okay. So there wasn't loads of comments on things, but I think we are going to be looking mainly at Inside Out. But just as a recap, I reviewed Thy Will Be Done by the 1914, which I really, Alexander Marsh, sorry, and the 1914, which I really, really enjoyed. And I think that's got quite a lot of love, actually. There was nobody sort of saying, oh no, I bought it, I didn't like it, which is good, isn't it? Whereas, with Inside Out, it's a slightly hang on, let me just... apparently the audio loop is a Zoom Ecamm problem. Is it? Ah, so it is only with Zoom. So right, because I've been right. I'm going to go on to Zoom then, because Ecamm haven't answered me yet. But anyway, that's good to know. Thanks. Just from Gary from the Thy Will Be Done. I've got a couple of free will effects and had this for short. Well, I like this version very much. The tarot adds a nice touch. I think it does really, and I think that. I'm really starting to see, you know, when you get one single tarot card out and give it some space around it, I think it does create a lot of wonder and a lot of kind of, you know, well, you know, what if you were going to watch a trick and you knew you were going to watch something and they got one card out, you'd be curious, wouldn't you? And that curiosity, I think we can really capitalize on and frame. And so I think it's great. And Renee says it's a perfect follow-up for my Zodiac by Collector's Workshop. And I think, yeah, Anthony says you mentioned Turner Watch and of course the SB watch. All those watches you can use with that. Well, my feeling was that anything that has a watch force in it, you could just do with a force time on a watch. You don't need it. It's very expensive. You know, it's kind of like with these watches, it's an addition, isn't it? That it does a force time a lot of the time. That isn't what they're for. But if you've got one, I think it might be quite a nice thing. But again, you certainly don't need to go out and buy one of them to do that effect. Let's go on to the Rehearsing Your Mistakes by Angel Simal. You know, almost like a shame really that it was. It's great that it's on Kindle it was like on Kindle for like $4. It's a really good book, and my worry is that when stuff's that cheap, it's like, you know, back in torrents were a big thing, and you know, rightly or wrongly, well, wrongly, it's not rightly or wrongly, a few of us got a few torrented books. I remember getting, this is way back in the day, I remember getting a file with like, I never looked at them because they were just worthless to me, but someone gave me a thing that had a lot of books on. But I think that when something's for $4, the tendency is to just have it, put it away and not read it, is it? You know, I've talked about this thing about value, perceived value, and I think it's a shame that you might think, oh, $4, it's not going to be very good. It's a really good book and a really strong piece of work and a very helpful book. So if you did get it on Kindle ridiculously cheap, start reading it now before you get more books to you know, to go on top of that and it kind of gets buried. Phil Smith sounds great. Even the title is similar to something I often tell newbies who are nervous about performing, to rehearse the trick going wrong as well as going right, so you don't feel that panic. I've got a story in a minute. If when something goes awry. As someone who messes stuff up a lot, I'm an expert in tricks going wrong, to be honest, so I've got a lot to say on this subject. Yeah, Phil, so this happened to me the other day. Why did I do it? I tried to do a dice thing in close-up. I was just bored of doing the same stuff, as I mentioned in my review earlier. And I did I was doing a dice thing, and I lost connection, basically. It was a Bluetooth thing. I lost connection, and I had nowhere to go with this. And it was the worst thing the worst get out of a trick that I've ever done, to the point where I was just cringing so much. Because I thought, no, I'm going to be brave, I'm going to do it, it's going to be totally fine. So what I was doing is I was just practicing the thing of, you know, turning around, them rolling the dice and me telling them what numbers they rolled. And there was just nothing there. And I thought, there's nowhere I can go with this. I've never had it, there's nothing. So I didn't know what to do. So I turned around and I'm so embarrassed. Oh dear. There were 4 dice and I thought, what can I do? I picked up one dice and like did a vanish, you know, of a dice. And then I didn't know what to do then. You know, when you're in the moment, you're just panicking. And I had a nest of wallets in my pocket and I tried to wedge this dice in a nest of wallets. And I bought the nest of wallets and it just looked horrible. I got it out the nest of wallets. Weirdly enough, it got a really a big response. And then I thought, I've got to do something else, which I didn't have to, I shouldn't have. I picked up another dice and then got it out of my card to wallet in sealed envelope. But I couldn't get it in. So when it came, and I mean, don't judge this theatrically. It's awful. 2 wallets, 2 different wallets. I didn't know what to do. I got it out the envelope and it hadn't stuck properly, and it came out and it was all like dog-eared and bent where I tried to stick it together, but the dice hadn't let it. Amazingly, it got a round of applause. It was the worst magic I think I've ever done. In that blind panic, you know, first table I wasn't sort of warmed into it. And I hadn't rehearsed that going wrong. So there's a lesson. have a backup. And just maybe go, oh, that went wrong. And don't bother even trying to get out of it. Go to the point of no return, as he said. Gary says, I've rehearsed my mistakes. I've got them absolutely perfect now. Great. Great review. Then a UK retailer. Yeah, always looking. And I know it's so easy not to, especially on a phone. It's quite hard sometimes to the information bit under the videos. So yeah, have a look at that. And hopefully usually have the links in. Right, let's look at the, let me find my channel. Let's look at the comments on the Bonbon. Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. I reviewed Bonbon Box by George Iglesias. And a lot of you, if you're sleight of hand people, will look at that and go, I don't need to really review on that. I'm not going to buy it because I don't do that sort of thing. Some of you it will be pretty relevant to. Have a look at it because you've got to look at the trailer. It's all about the trailer. I just think that trailer was gold. So watch my review of Bonbon Box. GT Speed Reader, just lots of people saying they really like it. I think it's a fine marked deck. Phil Smith, again, I remember seeing Garrett demoing his deck at Blackpool ages ago. Yeah, because it was the original Speed Reader and this is a standard edition. I don't really know the difference. I know I should have looked. His passion and knowledge about it was really impressive. Great thinking behind it. Yeah, so there's, again, a lot to it, whether that a lot is required or not. But I think it's always nice to know that a lot of work's gone into something, and it's a fine marked deck. It's just not, but I like those ones you can read on dark light, you know, on stage and stuff like that when you're sort of away from the deck. I don't really do much with marked decks. So Mexi said he prefers to mark the cards himself. Yep, there's loads of great marking systems to come up with your own one. Why not take away some of the risk by using a marked deck? And there is that, you know, again, rehearsing your mistakes. I think marked decks to get out of trouble are a great idea, especially if you're going to do stuff on, you know, where you've got to get it time either live or doing a TV spot or anything like that. Yeah, it's Xanta, hello Steve, you debonair devil you. I'd say if we ever get to the point where a spectator is looking for marks, then we're really not doing our job properly. I agree, and I totally agree with that. However, there is something when, if you do really good sleight of hand and it's so impressive, then you get the card for some reason, or you've got a peek, or you glance it, then they do look for marks. Sometimes that's the only place that the brain can go. And maybe they've heard of marked decks, which is interesting, isn't it? Which I think is why it's, you know, the easiest trick to do with a marked deck is they take it, you name it, right? But we don't do that because they would go there because it's too impossible. So we've got to put stuff of it, haven't we? And I think you are right, but sometimes I do get them looking for marks when it's not the answer because that's the only place their brain can go because they've heard someone talk about marked cards and stuff before. I love the DMCs, lots of love for DMCs coming out, which are great. Yep, from David, ton of marked decks, green V4s, red, yeah. I mean, they're all great. And actually, I think it's just a preference thing. I think all marked decks work for what you want it to work for. And if you find one that works for you, stay with it. And things are starting to change for me now. And as someone said, I think there's people, they'll said to me the other day, someone, you don't want to be putting your glasses on just before you start a card trick and taking them off afterwards, do you? So Inside Out. I'm going to talk about this now. People hated, let's have a look at the comments actually. How's the guitar playing coming along? Great, man. Making spread Carl look sleek. Yeah, it's all about the spread Carl, I think. Hey, how are you doing? Dan, nice to see you, Dan Rye. 101 Magician's ebooks was the one I got. Yeah, the big torrent of ebooks nobody read. A lot of people hated this book. This is Inside Out by Ben Al. Hate this book, but I really enjoyed it. Completely agree with your review. I connected with the stories, and having met them, you see him perform, he's so well spoken and graceful, it feels like real magic. Reading some old tricks, but how the audience experienced them was amazing, and just tweaking it. The transposition in the mind is amazing. It is amazing, I agree. It makes total sense as a built-in misdirection. I loved it. Yeah. So, and on the flip side of that, that was from Dan Wright, MPB. I love Ben Al, particularly his deep philosophy and approach to magic, but this book just felt really thin to me, literally thin, full of empty space and blank pages, and also lacking much in the way of content and new ideas. I don't mean tricks or move. There's big sections of text where he's effectively talking about things like what he had for breakfast. What people rarely mention with the book reviews is whether they're value for money. This one would have been all right at 15 to 20 quid. I paid over 50 and felt completely ripped off. It's a valid point. I can only give my... Oh, so Dan says, I can understand the point. It's a very artsy book and completely different from most magic books. Personally, I liked it, and if you get a few things from the book, it's worth it for me. I can understand why some people might not like it. I kind of feel if someone has been in magic for a while and a bit jaded, this is a good book to reframe things. But it is expensive, I agree with that. It is expensive. I always say with these books, it is how much it is. You can't get it cheaper anywhere else. That's how much the book's worth. I see, my feeling is this, and it's not necessarily right. Well, of course it isn't right. If you disagree, you disagree. That's your reality, isn't it? So I can't argue with that. I loved it, and I loved the writing. And what I didn't mention and forgot to mention in the review was that the style of the writing, you know, everything opens up with a scenario of him being at a barbecue with friends, and that is easy to get wrong, really easy to get wrong. And if it isn't written well, and in my opinion it was, it can be really painful to read. And I have certain books that I've read that are just so badly written. They try and be arty and flowery, and it's just like, it just cloys. And I could relate to pretty much all of the stuff. I could really relate to the stuff of being at a barbecue, you know, having a few drinks and kind of someone saying, do this, and going, oh, I've got to do this, or shall I? And then it becoming a thing, and then you've got to kind of get your performance, but also that thing of using it sometimes. And, you know, it's when people sort of say, oh, you're an extrovert, and I say, not actually, I'm an introvert, and I do magic sometimes. Or parties where I've been invited to, because I don't want to do that small talk stuff. It makes me really uncomfortable. And I think that even though he didn't say that in it, I felt that in moments that sometimes to do something. And that's why, you know, part of the reason why sometimes when I have a drink, I smoke a cigarette, and that's why I'm not drinking at the moment, and I don't smoke, but it's just something sometimes to do something that kind of gets me out of the kind of throng. Wrongly, you know. So I think I could kind of relate to all that stuff, and I really enjoyed that, and that's why I sat and read it from cover to cover really over a few days, not in one sitting, but without, what I mean is without the cards in hand. I felt like I could read it, I could understand it, and I took, like I said, I showed my friend the trick this morning, took one of these tricks, did it, and it completely blew him away, and it was without ambitious card routine, just with me talking to him and it happening in his hands, and I loved it, and it made me want to go back and kind of just get into what we've got, you know, which is again a very it's kind of like what I'm into at the moment. It's kind of looking at what I've got and stopping adding things, even though I have all of those stuff. So I'm failing at that basically, but there you go. Yeah, so so many scenarios in that book I bought. When are we going to do a collaboration? If you want a great drum track laid down, let me know. Great, thank you. And so, a great review of a very good book. I love things that really divide people. First positive review I've seen from Maxi says, great book, yeah, cool, and then some spammy thing at the bottom. I'm sure there'll be a lot more, because it only came out an hour and a half ago, so I'll probably do more comments on this, but I think it's a really valid point. You either like it or you don't. Personally, I thought it was a beautiful little book. I didn't find there was sort of gaps in it. I like the way it looks. That I didn't mention it, but this Lucky Deal, you know, which is this stripped down, what he says, Gardner, Marlowe, and Hugard poker deal is a self-working trick. It is so good. It's ridiculously good. See, I think if you might already do stuff like that, but even if you get that and you get a couple of other things, I think it's worth it. But hey ho. Magic Band, amazing. I can't have any more projects. So I think that's it. I think that's all I've got to say to everyone. Oh, I've just thought on the, that thing of value for money. It's interesting, isn't it? So I bought that recently before my show and performed it in my show. And that is like 5 pages long. And it says, with the actual, you know, after the sort of stuff at the beginning, it's 5 pages long and it was 20 quid or whatever. But because I used it, and that's the key, isn't it? Because I used it, totally worth it. 20 quid is nothing, you know, for something that you're going to put in your show. So that's the thing. And that's why I think the reviews are important. Not to tell you whether it's good or not, but to tell you what the book is. And I think then you can make your mind up. Now you know it's the stuff, you know, looking at what the tricks that we already do and making them something, you can decide what you want. Or do you want to go out and buy a book of a load more moves? Frankly, my goal in life is to learn probably 0.1% of the stuff I've got in those books. And that'll be a lot more than I probably will. So there you go. That's the thing said. I'm very tired. Right, I'm going now, probably. Let's have a look. Not if you drum up some Michael Jackson. I shared my failed Michael Jackson trick on the card course thing. See, if you join Card Magic course, you get to see me fail on stage in the Zoom sessions. I shared it last week. See one of the CNC members at 6 for the live session. Yeah, Dan, see you there. Right, I'm going to go there now. Guys, make sure you bring something to the session. Bring some. Look, we're doing a session tonight on simplicity because of the inspiration from Ben's book. So stuff working what we've already got. But I'll stop rambling now. Next Thursday, we shall be back at 5 o'clock, rambling about other stuff. Any requests, anything you want me to talk about, do let me know in the comments here, and I shall talk to you soon. Check out cardmagiccourse.com. Please go and do that right now. Do it now, what you want to do. Take care, which is the right button, and press on messing around with it all, didn't I? See you later. Bye-bye.